want to weigh in on this issue because it is a critically important issue for my state, for all coastal states, for any state that has commercial fishermen, as my colleague from California and as my colleague from Louisiana notes. And I appreciate the fact that we have come to a place where we are going to save these small fishermen from the potential burden of reporting to EPA for any incidental discharge from their vessels for the next 3 years. I need to acknowledge the good work of my friend from California. She has recognized that we began this years ago, back in 2008, when we had to work together at that time to get a short-term extension to ensure that our small vessel owners would not be subjected to these EPA requirements that most people would say, what is this reporting all about? And for those who need a little more graphic detail as to what we're talking about, when you take a commercial fishing vessel out, you know, your 45-foot commercial fishing vessel, and you have a good day fishing. You've got some salmon guts on the deck, you've got a little bit of slime, you hose it off. Madam President, that would be an incidental discharge that would be reportable to the EPA, and if you fail to report, you could be subject to civil penalties. That's not what we're talking about here. And I think it is important to note that you have two leaders here in the Senate who perhaps approach some of the EPA issues from a different angle. Senator Boxer has been a staunch advocate for making sure that when we're talking about clean air, clean water, we're complying with those regulations. Senator Vitter has also been a staunch advocate for making sure that our small business, our jobs, and our economic opportunities aren't stymied by these regulations. So the fact that you have two members coming together to acknowledge we have to do something to ensure that these regulations do not impede the ability of our small fishermen, of our commercial operators in the water, those vessels below 79 feet, that we're not harming them. In my home state of Alaska, we're talking about 8,500 commercial fishermen who were most anxious that 8 days from now, they were going to be put in a position where they were effectively violating EPA regulations, subject to civil penalties for the simple act of runoff off of their decks. So I concur with Senator Boxer. This is something where we don't need to be going from year to year to year to address. We don't need to inject this uncertainty into the operations of our hardworking fishing families. We need to have a permanent solution. I want to work with that permanent solution. Senator Vitter has clearly indicated he's willing to help us with that. Senator Thune, as in Commerce, has made that clear. We know that we have to address the ballast issues. We will do that, and I'm looking forward to being engaged with that in the 114th Congress. But for now, I think it's critically important that consensus has been reached, and I acknowledge the good work of both the senator from Louisiana and the senator from California and Senator Thune for getting us to this point where we can take the pressure off of our small commercial operators and ensure that they can do what they do so very, very well. I'm going to look forward to the next Congress where we're making this permanent and, again, where we're dealing with so many of the other issues. But I thank my colleagues.